move and or based on how that fight works. Now, the other rotation we're going to do is kind of similar to one done by Leroy T, is Elysium's Black Mage. He's got a really great video out. Just check it out. This rotation has basically a decision tree to it. The basics of the rotation are the same. The difference is whether or not you get a Fire 3 proc. So the start of the rotation is simple. It's this is what we like to refer to as the Sharpcast opener. So you open with Sharpcast, Fire 1, not Fire 3 like we did in the past. Then in the downtime of between Fire 1 and using the Fire 3 proc to get yourself to full Astral Fire stacks is when you pop your buffs. And from there, you're treating it like almost like a normal opener. You're going to do two Fire 4s, sorry, a Fire 1, and then here's where the decision happens. If that Fire 1 cast procs Firestarter, which happens 40% of the time, the end of your rotation is different. If it doesn't, you end up needing to do a completely different rotation. So this one takes some practice to get used to like basically teach yourself to watch for something and to augment what you're going to do based on that. So we'll do one demo real fast, and then we'll see what we get. So you would want to Sharpcast, Falling Strikes, Fire 1, Leyline's Enochian, Raging Strikes, and Pot. We do two Fire 4s. We throw our Fire 1. No Firestarter proc. Okay, so here's without a Firestarter proc, Swift Cast, Flare, Convert, Fire 4. Now you go Blizzard 3, Thunder 1, Blizzard 4. From here, you're just going into the standard rotation. Fire 3, two Fire 4s, a Fire 1, two more Fire 4s. We said nothing different here, nice and simple. And then Blizzard 4 based on timing, and then after this you have time for your Thunder 1. And again, just standard rotation, we'll do it one more time, just for demos purposes. Normally I would actually use a Sharpcast here if I were in full rotation, but we're going to save that to try and force the other version of this opener. Okay. And then from there, our Enochian would be up. We would go into our mana regen cycle. At the end of the mana regen cycle, we would hard refresh the Enochian. And then just go right into the standard rotation until we get to where we have all of our buffs up again. So that version there is really similar to the initial opener. This thunder is still ticking. The initial opener I did a long time ago, where the opener uses Swift Cast and Flare. Now that's if you don't get a proc. If you get the Firestarter proc after your Fire 1, and I'm going to try and do a visual demo, but if you get the Firestarter proc, you then cast your two more Fire 4s, and then you throw out the Firestarter, proc to Fire 3. And while that's forcing your GCD, you convert Swift Cast, Fire 4, then Fire 4 again. Then you Blizzard 3, and then Blizzard 4. You probably won't have enough time, unless you have a lot of spell speed, to get the Thunder 1 in there, so you save the Thunder 1 until after the Blizzard 4. So, why do this rotation? Again, it's a little reliant on you having a Piety buff. However, because you start with Fire 1 to open up, it costs a lot less mana, so you're not absolutely required to be a Lullafell or have the Piety buff. 2. It's a little more flexible because it's only 2 casts at a time. There's a little room to move. So in a fight like Alex 3 Savage, where you have to dodge the protean waves, you have the timing to move and not drop your astral fire once you use the fight and the timing. This is actually the rotation that I use for an opener because of A3 and the way that it's timing there. The downside to this rotation: if you do not get the 40% chance of Firestarter proc, it is less raw potency than the standard 6 Fire 4 that we showed earlier. However, if you do get that proc, it is more potency per second, because the amount of time you're spending casting is a lot less. So your potency in the amount of time you're creating is higher. Also, using this rotation can get all 6 Fire 4s, they line up under both your Raging Strikes and your pot. So that's the other major benefit because of the way some of the timing happens to work. The downside beyond that, this is a little, I would say, easier to execute, but harder on you as a player because you have less flexibility if you screw up or get forced to move when you weren't expecting to, because it forces you to use Swift Cast. No matter which version, whether you get the proc or not, you're using your Swift Cast, so you don't have the ability to be like, oh, I've only got 3 seconds left, that's not enough time to cast Blizzard 4, I can just Swift Cast Blizzard 4 and get it out. You don't have that. So the more spell speed you have, the better for this rotation, because it helps clean up the potential of not having that kind of safety device of Swift Cast for error recovery. So we'll do one more